Greetings, beautiful souls. How art thou? Today is May 10th, actually, 2019. I am on here doing this live. I haven't been on here in a minute. Do you hear that music? It's been a while. Let me see who's up at this time of night. Greetings, Victoria, Paris, Holistic, Kellie. Yes, give me one moment. So anyway, today I have a special treat. I love it too. He's been coming into my energy for the past few days. Frankie Lyman. And poo-poo on them that don't like to hear the music. Itty bitty. Let's keep changing the vibration. Anyway, how are you doing? How's everyone doing today? It's May 10th where I'm at right now. And I'm bringing in a special treat where myself and also my soul sister Kellie is going to be joining me on the live, where we're going to be talking about what's happening in the frequencies and also the divine masculine and divine feminine, twin soul, everything, anything, ascension, what's happening, what's going on, what up, who's up at this time of the morning with me, wherever you are. If you need to shift something within you, that's what we're all here for. Together we're doing it collectively, because we're all one body of this Christ consciousness. Yes. Anyway, before I bring Kellie on, greetings, Evelyn. I'm going to give you just a little announcement. And that announcement is that I will be doing a twin flame talk with Marlena. And her YouTube channel is Graceful Healing Intuitive Tarot. Graceful Healing Intuitive Tarot, where we're going to be speaking about also what's going on with the energies and also answer questions and so on, because besides myself with Kellie and also with Marlena, is that we really believe that we're here to assist so many of us who are on especially the twin soul path, especially to assist a lot of divine feminines who are having a bit of, I would say, just like a little bit of a struggle to understand their journey, because we're all on different wavelengths and all on different paths, but we're still are on the path to true love, true love, true love of the heart. And to get back to true love of the heart, that means that we're releasing a lot of stuff that no longer serves us. And it has been, I would say, to put it mildly, intensely, but especially because of what we're releasing in reference to relationships, the relationship patterns that have existed. And based on readings that I've been doing for the past several days, I know that there's some of you who are still struggling a little bit to do with relationships and so on. So anyway, I will be doing a twin flame talk with Marlena on Monday, May 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So feel free to join me on her live while I'll be on there doing a talk with her as well. So anyway, you have to go because it's 12 a.m. Yeah. Okay. Well, remember, it's only going to be on for 24 hours. Unfortunately, that's what how Instagram does it. So they only have you be able to watch it for 24 hours. So anyway, so I wanted to at least come on here for myself and Kellie. She is right now, she's an author, and the name of her book is Flying Without Wings. So, and her book, I'm going to get her book so you can see what it looks like. Flying Without Wings. And she's based out in Australia, and she's also on a twin soul path. So she has her book out in which she's talking about her journey. So she and I, we talk almost every day, and we compare notes of stuff, what's happening in the frequency. Sometimes she's ahead of me, because they're a day ahead with what's happening. And sometimes it's happening all at the same time, regardless of the time zone and all that. So I know from the last time I've been on here, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing in terms of what we're shifting through. And I know for myself that I've been bringing in more of my higher self on a grander scale, I should say, even based on the dreams I've been having. I've been getting so many messages coming from spirit. Excuse me, my phone fell off. So much messages from Spirit to do with my own transformation. And I even had a dream. Oh. Okay. So I even had a dream. Oh, this thing is messing up. Okay, so I even had a dream, or my friend, I should say, not me. My friend had a dream, my sister friend, Marcia, had a dream to do with me. Whenever she has dreams about me, it's very significant. And she dreamt about me being in this house with a fire, and I had a baby in my hand, and I was just standing there bravely with it. And I mean, she described it better because it was her dream. But based on what she was saying about the dream, it definitely was indicative of my own transformation. And how do we move through transformation? The elements of fire, air, water, and on the earth. And she said that I wasn't scared. I wasn't afraid or anything. And she was afraid that I was going to die. And she was like, I don't want you to die. And she's like, get out of the building. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. And she said the fire disappeared. And then it came back again through someone else trying to bring back the fire, you know. It makes me think about that song, Relight the Fire, you know. Relight the fire. But I know that either way, it was very significant because it represented transformation. And she told me that I was in a peach dress. And when I looked it up, I looked up all of it. And I did it with her on the phone. And she's not necessarily on a twin soul path, but she's definitely is on her path with ascension. So I know a lot of things have been happening for myself with my body to do with this ascension journey, where I've had heat coming through my body about 4 days ago, whatever day it was. There was a day, I believe it was earlier this week, where I had to lay down and sleep. I felt very sleepy, groggy, like I couldn't get up. I was nauseated. I was feeling very nauseous. I couldn't eat any solid food, so all I did was drink some soup. And then I woke up and then I went to the bathroom, and then I was going through all those ascension symptoms, which I normally have before. So in this case, again, I was told that I was going through a higher integration of my higher self. And so based on the dream I had to do with the butterfly, with my mother and stuff like that, everything makes sense of what it means for me to do with my own personal transformation. And I know that many of us are also pushing through and coming through an even greater transformation than ever before. I do know that the divine masculine is also going through a lot of deep heaviness, and also things that relate to them to do with their own personal death. And I'm talking about death as far as transformation as well, and having to let go, and what they're releasing to do with things that have happened since the patriarchal system, you know. And that's what's breaking down, is this patriarchal system, and it's breaking down through us in the physical body. And it can feel intense, it can feel heavy and uncomfortable. So it's been feeling uncomfortable for me too, and it's been uncomfortable for me today, yesterday, the day before, and all that stuff. So no matter what's showing up in my outer reality, something's showing up in your reality that will feel as if you want to just get out of Dodge, or you feel like you want to run, or that you just want this to be over. I know that there has been a high level of frustration, anger, also feeling maybe abandoned, or you just want this to be just done with, you know. And I can only say that what Spirit has shown me is, of course, not necessarily the cliche, but to be patient and to have compassion for yourself and compassion for the divine masculine, because what I do know is that it's not easy for them, okay? And it's not easy for us either. And this has to do with how much more of the divine feminine energy is coming on more on this grid, you know, because we are creating free energy, and free energy flows through us and what we're recreating on earth based upon where our thoughts are, and releasing with a lot of the experiences that we have, and the attachments that you have to it, releasing those attachments, detaching from past experiences and how you view relationships and all that stuff, you know, because the one thing I do know for sure is that the way our relationships exist now on the earth, it is just not going to exist in the next few years. We are really going through massive amounts of downloads, shifting, transmuting, letting go, feeling uncomfortable. The planets are assisting on this even greater, especially with Uranus, to do with changes, movement, letting go, Even some of you might be separating yourselves even more from your family members, friends. Some of you may be going through divorces or know of someone who's going through divorces, and whatever you're not willing to let go of, the universe is doing it for you. And so the one thing I do know for sure is that we are moving even greater into uncharted territory. And I have been hearing about some people who are coming into a greater physical union space also with their beloveds. And all of this plays a part in what's coming through with these portals that I've mentioned before. So now that we're in the frequency of the 555 portal that occurred since Sunday, we're now moving towards the summer solstice, and we're being prepared energetically, mentally, spiritually, and physically for the solstice as well. So it's going to be the summer solstice in one hemisphere, and it's going to be winter solstice in the other hemisphere. And still, it all comes together in a rapid way, because one thing I do know for sure is that things are speeding up more rapidly. It's almost like trying to keep up with yourself and the changes in the physical body and things that you think you may want to do. You may find yourself not being able to do it. There's some of you I know that are not even able to go to work, and you're not able to function like how you think you can. But just know that when you go through the stages of, I would say, like, you're tired, go and get that rest, because that part of the resting period is when your higher self is coming through. And there's also a lot of divine codes that are flowing from Sirius, Palladians, Arcturian, Orion, the Andromeda, also galaxy. We're getting a lot of upgrades. Okay. So that's why sometimes things may change as far as your sleeping habits, your eating habits, and just drink water, get some sleep. If you feel that you can't sleep, it's okay. See if you can walk outside and, take in air and take sea salt baths, watch some comedy, and allow yourself to, because I even was feeling like, like sleepy, and like what's the best way I can describe it? Like in space, like I felt spacey. That's how I felt, So anytime that happens, I always know that I'm going through a greater shift within myself and my body. Okay. And I even end up going to the toilet also with that. What else? So again, for the past several days, I've been getting so much messages coming from even my daughter. My daughter had a dream to do with me, and she said that in the dream, this was today she had the dream, and then my girlfriend had the dream to do with me earlier today. And what's interesting, my daughter, when she has her dreams, that's like crazy in a way, but she said she dreamt about some plutonic aliens came through, and I was just like dealing with it just like I was, like I told her, I said, maybe it was like Men in Black. Greetings, Sophia, Kiki. It was like, to me, it reminds me of like Men in Black. And I told her, oh, maybe I was like Men in Black. And that there was some type of instrument that was able to detect them being on Earth. So now that I think about it, maybe I'm the instrument, because, I can see so clearly in the energy. But what's interesting, what my daughter said, that my girlfriend also said, she said that I was so brave and that I wasn't in fear. And just think of yourselves as the fact that you too are brave just to be here, and that whatever you are experiencing, don't look at how someone else might be experiencing it, because it may or may not be the same. And really still stay in that, how do I say it, in that place within yourself, that the stronger you become and the more courageous that you become within yourself with this path, with this journey, meaning that you're still speaking your truth, because the divine feminine, we lead the way. We lead the way through all this gunk and all of this stuff. And as we lead the way, it's going to keep bringing up more things to the surface. It's almost like you're testing yourself. Your higher self is bringing in everything that represents the polarity. We're still integrating the dark sides of ourselves and the light, the shadow and the light. It's necessary. You may be seeing this through the mirror numbers, the 12, 21, 144, 441, 1551. All of this plays a part in our journey, in what we are creating as far as that sacred geometry, because it's coming in sequentially with codes, and it's multiplying and it's dividing. So as it divides, it must come back again, and it's going to multiply. So, still, again, one of the greatest advice I can give to you is to allow yourself to navigate through this, and to just to keep that sense of courage and knowing, and that knowing, because it's like, you know what you know, and at the same time you're surrendering to however it may show up. Okay, you know what you know, and you're surrendering to however that it may show up. And it may show up where you're going to be upset, you're going to feel like, I don't know what's going to happen next, what do I do? And in that space of the unknowing and not knowing what to do, and feeling like you don't have all the answers, that's how your soul is leading you, because it's like your higher self is just navigating through all of this. And the way how the new earth is coming in is not the same like how we have been. It is just not the same. It is just completely different. Sophia, you said that it's hard not feel like I'm betraying. Well, that's the thing, is that many of us on the twin soul path is that we're being placed in many places. It sounded like it was redundant, right? We're being placed in many areas, like on grid points. And with those grid points, we're breaking down these walls, and we're breaking down the patriarchal structural stuff. And so with that, it's not going to feel good, for you. And with that, it's like, it takes more courage. You know what I mean? And that means that even if it means that whatever you say, whatever you do, and sometimes you don't even have to say anything. It's just having that embodiment of what the truth is what breaks it down. And people on a whole may not be comfortable with the truth that comes from you and the light that shines from you, you see? And that you do have the courage to be yourself, and that you do have the courage to be authentic, and that you're still going to speak your truth no matter how it shows up in your reality. So I just wanted to say those words. Kellie, where are you? I don't know if you're on, because I'm waiting for you to come in with your, because we only have but so much time that Instagram gives you. So if you are there, could you please you probably have to log off and go back in again, and then it'll bring in the, okay, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to bring Kellie on now. Does it say you have to accept it? There you are. Yay, it's my first time doing this.
I was waiting for you. I've been sitting here the whole time, but I just...
Yeah, it's like if you come in as I go on the live, the thing is going to go up out of the way. So it's like, right, even though I know you want to be on it, but then I'm not going to see the thing to click on it. Yeah. So I introduced you with your book and everything like that. So I don't know if you want to add something more. And I would love, Kellie, I just want to say Kellie is going to talk about a divine masculine that she's in contact with that also reflects her twin 100%. And I've always said, be mindful and pay attention to all of the people, especially if you're in the divine feminine energy, and pay attention to what that male or masculine energy is showing for you, because that is your clue, like blue clues. That's what we're on. We're like an adventure here, the Alices, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I also just wanted to say, before I got into what Sharon was just saying about my divine masculine friend, that my book Flying Without Wings is out, and I just wanted to say it's actually, my twin and I have an age gap, so it's actually a beautiful story of the journey of me growing up from 3 years old, knowing he was with me in spirit form. I don't know where to look at this camera, but knowing him traveling with me. So I felt him growing up in the 70s and 80s, and then I met him decades later because he incarnated, and so we have this very unique, different story. I know everyone has a unique story about that accent. Kellie, yeah, you're Australian too, aren't you?
Is that Kiki? Is that Miss Kiki?
It is. Yeah, I'm from Melbourne.
Yeah, Kellie wanted to know where you're from, and I didn't remember. So tell her where you're from, Kiki, and tell me your real name, because I forgot. I apologize. I love you.
So, Yes, so good
Hi,
evening.
Stephen.
So it is quite a unique story because I talk about it in here, and I also break down a lot of the illusions, the paradigms, all that sort of stuff in here. So it's a really great book, and it does show. I didn't write it just for twins. I wrote it for everybody because I was guided by spirit to write this book to really help with humanity ascension and everything, because there's a lot of aspects to the book. But the twins, it's really helpful to see how energy really does work, because I knew I was traveling with my twin. I didn't obviously know who he was as in a twin flame, but I knew I was traveling with my other half all that time as a child and into my teenage years. So anyway, so I just you can go to, if you want to go and buy it, it's the links in my Instagram and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But now if you wanted me to talk about the yes, flying without wings, that's right, you put it there. So I do have a friend that is also a divine masculine that is on the path, and I met him a couple of months ago, and we probably don't have time to talk about how spirit guided. It's so incredible for me to meet him walking along the beach with our dogs. But we met, and we've been catching up every couple of weeks or every week since. And and I
propelled her to go. I said, go, that's your twin talking to you. And well, turns out to be right.
It was the first time I met him. I came back and I told Sharon, I sent her this message and said, oh my God, I've just met this guy. And I waited to see what she said, but as I was talking to him, Spirit was telling me, this is from your Daniel. This is from, my twin Daniel. So this like, take note, because it's almost like you're talking to your twin. And then I told Sharon, I came back and I had this long ass 30-minute message I sent Sharon, and she only listened to the first bit, and she stopped and came back and said, I just want to tell you, Spirit is saying to me, absolutely, that I hope you listen, because this was like having a conversation with your twin. So, and I said, I knew it. And so it was just so amazing. And the journey with this divine masculine since then, over the last couple of months, has been really amazing for both of us, because I also share with Sharon, just to see from that other perspective of what they're going through. And also for me, it's been great because Spirit's been showing me what my twin's going through, and, things that he's trying to say to me and stuff like that. So we do have the telepathy going and everything, but so
Kellie, I want to stop you right there, because I know you're saying that we're both saying that what we see through that person's with seeing them, that they're just like our twins. So for example, she was Kellie, I'm speaking of, she was feeling irritated, like she didn't want to go, and she was also focusing on her boundaries. And I told her, I said, well, I feel like you're going to meet with him, because I told her I felt she was going to get a surprise, or she's going to get a message, And so she said that he was insistent that he emailed her, then he messaged her on WhatsApp, and guess what? Her twin used to do the same thing. So you see, I want you to know how. Pardon me?
My twin never used to message me on WhatsApp, but he was doing the same thing, as in insistent, like he'd text, and then if I didn't reply, he'd ring, and then
right. Yes. That is how much it is identical to what you experience with your twin, whether they're physically there with you or not, and how it shows up. You know what I mean? But I know that some of the interesting things that Kellie was mentioning to do with the guy, especially Kellie, I'd love for you to talk about, is how he was feeling, because I know a lot of times the divine feminine, a lot of the divine feminine gets into that space of giving up and feeling like disrespected, feeling abandoned, feeling as if they're tired of this journey, they're tired of the path. And I always tell everyone who gets a reading from me, I said, it's all about you too, okay? It's all about you. Everything that you're expressing is all about you. You know what I'm saying? And it is about that other person as well, who you're connected to, because we did incarnate here to experience everything in the physical world as well. You see? And it's really truly about navigating with everything. So what was interesting, which I'm going to have Kellie talk about it, was that he was expressing his frustration with his twin female in the female body, that blocked him too, and how it made him feel. Okay,
Yes.
so just know that you're not alone with this process, and still we're going to honor our past and have a greater understanding with it to apply this wisdom. You again, Kellie. Yes.
Well, it's really interesting because this guy is definitely going through, which I'll talk about in a minute, which you might be interested in, what he's been going through over the last couple of weeks as a divine masculine. But he's very, very highly conscious and spiritual, and has been since he was 5. But done a lot of and it's really interesting because my twin is the same, but it's like they go through this process of getting pulled into that matrix world as a divine masculine should, or as a masculine should be, as a male should be, and they take on all the paradigm of all that stuff, as in, what they can't open up and show their feelings and emotions, and and they get dogged down by a lot of their mates and the friends, what they say and things like that. So it's kind of interesting because this guy is very much like my twin, and but at the same time, the roles were reversed, that he's divine feminine is very much in her masculine energy. So she's done the running. They only met 5 months ago. So they're obviously third wavers, so she's done the running. So she felt the connection, and she was very closed down in her heart. And she, the mirror came up, and he actually is described to me in so much detail how he can feel every single thing that she feels energetically, and how even when they were together, before she blocked him 2 months ago and sort of ran and hasn't contacted him. So since then, obviously he's feeling it just through energy, but in the physical, when they were together, he could just see right through her with her fears and her insecurities. He said to me yesterday, he said, I knew when she wasn't being honest with me, and I'd just go, oh, okay. He said, and I knew when she was speaking from her heart and she was honest.
Can I stop you right there, Kellie? Because there are a lot of twins out there, even someone I read for today, that they get upset because their twins are not honest with them. Please remember that they're not being honest with you, not because it's trying to be a deliberately lie, but it's because of the wounds that show up in their reality that's reflecting from you. And that's why I keep emphasizing to have compassion, to remember and remind and reprogram yourselves as to what this greater effect of healing and how it's showing up in your reality. And so that's why I'm very happy for Kellie to also talk about this, and I wanted to stop right there to mention that to you.
And he does know that he's been going through the last few months family issues, looking at the codependency, like who's codependent on him in his life that he needs to cut those cords with and detach. He's got a lot of family issues he's had going on that he had to re-enter that, and then sort of try and resolve things, and if not, he's now broke away from that. And he said to me yesterday that none of that would have happened if she didn't enter his life when she did several months ago, because as soon as she did, he said it opened me up again to all those wounds and scars, and I had to then go in and face what I'd ran from, or what I, in my family, the relationship with his mother, the relationship with his brother, all these sort of things. So he was quite in depth with that conversation about all of that, and he knows that she has opened him up to all that. Being conscious, he also straight away from the get-go, he found, like, he knew that connection, and he knew that when I met him, he actually never heard of twin flames. He never even knew about one soul connections or nothing, and he just started explaining it all to me, saying we have the same soul, I know it, and things like that, without even knowing. So I think that's important for the divine feminine to know too, that even if you think your divine masculine doesn't know about twins, or isn't on these sites or anything like that because they're removed from it all, it's to show, he's shown me that the masculine don't really need to, they feel it. They don't necessarily need someone to flash in front of them that you're my twin flame, or this is how this connection works, because they feel it. from their heart and soul themselves. And that was another really interesting thing, because this guy's not even on social media. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's not on any social media, and he's a real nature person. You know, he just wants to be out in nature, and doesn't, you know, he has a phone, but he doesn't really know anything that's going on. He's not in any groups. He wouldn't have even, you know, heard of it. And that he's sitting at the beach describing to me exactly what this connection is, and I was just blown away, because I'm like, you've not even spoken to anybody, and you have no idea, but it all came from the feeling of what he felt with this person and this energy. So yeah, so that's just to say too, Sharon, that, you know, for us to say to the Divine Feminine that your twin knows without you even knowing, you know, without them even knowing about twin or one soul connections and stuff like that. And I just wanted to say that he was also, I'm talking fast because I know we've got limited time on here.
That's okay, don't worry.
Also that yesterday when I spoke to him, the last couple of weeks, he's been going through pretty much all this stuff. And again, he's not on any social media, so he didn't know about this. I told him about this after he said all this to me. He's been going through pretty much everything that they've been saying the Divine Masculine have been going through, the tower moments, like all this stuff with his
lots
family.
of tower moments, lots of tower moments I'm hearing.
Things that he's tried to mend. So what I got from the Divine Masculine is that they'd kind of gone back into family or friends or whatever. They had these dysfunctional relationships with these karmic relationships or whatever, and they've gone back in to try and resolve things, to try and, like I know he was talking about with his mother and his brother and family members and such. He's not in a relationship with anyone else, and it got to the point where they hadn't changed, so they were still treating him the same way and still showing him that disrespect and blah blah blah. So he just, that was it, you know, he just cut the cord. He's detached from everything. And another thing that I wanted to say, which is interesting for Divine Masculine too, he has a friend that keeps, another male that keeps trying to say to him, you know, I'll come out, we'll go out and get some girls.
Oh, I was going to get to that. Trust me, I wrote it down right here. And I wanted to say something right, you know, I got to take to, I really got to say something, but go ahead.
And he said to me, he's telling me the story, and he's like, he's ringing me up all the time and saying, come on, I'll you know, this girl really likes you, and, you know, I'll come over and we'll go out, or I'll bring her over, and all this sort of stuff, because this friend of his is doing just that, you know, going out, picking up girls, bringing them home, stuff like that. And he just looked at me yesterday when he was telling me the story with such disgust on his face and disappointment that he said, I keep telling him, my heart belongs to someone else. My heart is with this other woman. So even though he's not in the physical sense, this woman's not standing beside him, but he's not, like, he's told people about her, and he's not trying to hide her or anything. He's saying, we're not together, like, she's blocked him, she's ignoring him, he's hurting from that, but he's still saying, no, my heart belongs to this woman, and whatever connection this is, you know, we're working through it. And he said to his friend, I don't want to go off with anybody else, I'm not interested in any other woman, you know, I'm not interested in meeting anybody. And his mate was saying things like, oh yeah, but even if you just, you know, feel like it's like filling the voids for a few hours or just a night or whatever. And he's saying no, and he's saying to this man, you know, you do not understand. He's trying to teach him, you know, the bigger picture of relationships and love and honor and stuff like that. And so this is actually one person that he's cutting off, because this person's quite codependent on him too. And he said, and I'm just so sick and tired of people trying to get me to go out and date or go out and meet other women, because they
because of the fact that, which is what I just couldn't wait to chime this one in, is that old programming that comes from the Atlantis time frame, okay, of, oh, go off and go be with a soulmate. Oh, I'll just go be with there's nothing really significant about this path, you see? And again, it comes back to the self and how you're honoring yourself and honoring what you know, where you're being led to with your heart. And with the divine masculine, they have had difficulty with accepting, you know, at times to do this path because, let's face it, it's supernatural. It's out of this world, okay? It has to do with how we're connecting from a soul level with each other, from the spirit, you know what I'm saying? And not the physical things that usually that one attains on earth first, and then love comes last, you see? And so because most of the divine masculine is thinking more in the linear fashion, that it has to make sense and all that stuff, so it's easier to just deal with a soulmate. The soulmate is not the same frequency as the twin soul. It's just not. It's not. Okay? When you know that you're on this twin soul path, you feel it in the core of your essence and the core of your being, and they feel it too. And my twin, when he first met me the second time, the first thing he said to me was, "You're the only woman I've ever felt this type of connection." And when he said it, I thought it was rather odd because I've never heard a man talk like that. Okay? And then the next thing that was odd was when he said, "How did I know to pick him?" And so because you know, because you feel it without even speaking the words, you feel it in your essence, you feel it in the core of your being. And so what's happening is that those who are still remaining in karmic relationships, which it could be greetings, which it could be, you know, with another physical person, it could be where they live, it could be where they work, it could be something to do with their mother, it could be to their father, and to cut that cord and to finally release the past and release that karmic energy. And what happened is, a lot of what happens is when you, if you're in the divine feminine space, if there are things in your life that it's necessary for you to honor yourself and step more into your power, or release someone in your life that it's not serving your highest purpose, where they're codependent on you, they're draining on you, they're depending on you for this, you know, or you feel like you have to do something all the time for the person, that's not serving your union. Remember, the inner union starts from that space, that co-creative space within you, and how much you are allowing that free energy to flow, and that you're not blocking this flow of energy to be between you and this person and everything else that's coming into this manifestation because of someone else or something else going on and on, repeating itself.
Yeah, and it was interesting because he said to me yesterday when I sat down and we started talking, and I said, "How have you been?" And he's like, "Oh, it's been rough." And then he started to talk about things, and he looked at me and he said, "I pulled back from her and her energy because, you know, he's hurt because she's blocked him, as the divine feminine has been through that, as we know. But he said, I've pulled back," he said, "to go within myself and just really look at myself more, even deeper." And he looked at me and he gave me this weird look and he said, "But when I did that, I felt her even more." And I said, "Of course you will, because
you can't get rid of it.
Can't get rid of it." So I thought, you know, I thought it was nice for the divine feminine to hear that today, that to know that your divine masculine, you know, you're in there because they're us, we're them. So we're going to feel them anyway, and we feel it, as we know, when we go.
You feel each other, yes.
And he's feeling. So if your divine masculine is thinking, "Oh well, I'll just block and run," to come back into themselves, they feel that you know, they can't get away from it. They can't get away from their divine feminine.
No one can get away from it. No one.
That's what I said.
And that's why it takes surrendering so much to this path. We're truly surrendering, because everyone, even this week I ended up watching Serendipity again. Sarah.
I love that.
You know, everywhere you go, you'll see the name, or you'll have a dream, or you see what I'm saying? And there's no such thing as someone cutting this off for you, or you cutting it off and all that stuff. Exactly. What you're seeking outside of you is within you. And I said that to the person I read for earlier today as well. No matter what you do, you can delete and all that stuff. You can't. It just doesn't work like that.
No,
you know.
Having me show him, because the day he met me, he actually said to the universe, that's how he says it, he said, "I said to the universe, could you please have a woman cross my path that can help me with this connection I have with this other woman. And this was the day we met on the beach. And
Yes.
it was very synchronized, without going to the story to the minute, because I wasn't going to go to the beach that day and I wasn't going to take my dog. And it all happened at the last minute. And
I remember.
It was our two dogs is how we met, you know.
Yes.
The dogs ran together and that's how we met. So, he'd asked, synchronized. So he had asked, this, the universe to please could a woman cross his path to help him with the connection he has with his divine feminine. And then I arrive and he starts telling me about this connection he has with this woman. And I'm like, oh, she's your twin flame. And he's like, what? And that's when we got into it because he didn't know anything about it. So what has been happening is not only, as Sharon said at the start, has he been showing up as my divine masculine, because they're very much alike, and showing me through him. So Daniel's coming through him to me. But what's happening is I'm also showing Patrick, this man, how his divine feminine's working. And so I've been able to help him understand the mirror. And every time, and I'm a coach as well, obviously, and so I've been able to help him with his deeper work. And it's interesting because he's done a lot of inner work, and a lot of men kind of go, oh yeah, I've done it, but I've been able to show him how to go deeper with this connection, because I explained that even though he is hurt by her rejection and blocking him, I explained how it comes back to him, and I said, well, where in you are you still not respecting and honoring yourself, and you're disrespecting yourself? Because I had to explain to him how the mirror, and that's the thing, he was a bit confused about how all that worked. So Spirit's had me helping him each time we've met over the last couple of months, which has been beautiful because he's needed that assistance as well.
Yes.
So,
Being guided to also mention something as far as the divine feminine and what it means to, excuse me, how to handle the energy of connecting to your divine masculine and how you're connecting to other divine masculine out there, which divine masculine is an energy that's showing up now, that's coming through in that truer template, okay?
Yes.
And that means that you may have some that may come your way that it may not be such a happy-go-lucky time. And it means that you might end up transmuting with them during the course of whatever may be occurring with you and that person, because that's what we're here to shape shift all this energy so that way things are coming into its purest form, back to this purest form. And I wanted to share with you what's happening in my outer reality with divine masculine that is showing up in my reality, and how I'm witnessing the changes. And I'll be as brief as I can. My son, my second oldest and my fourth, let's say that, how they're acting differently towards me, how I'm being treated. My dad listening to me more, asking me more questions, engaging in spirituality, spiritual stuff with me. My cousin, he called me around the same time that I was dealing with my dad, and he's older than me, and he before he never really wanted to engage in anything spiritual I'm talking about, and I explained my path to him as much as I could, for him to understand, and he was open and he was understanding about why my family, which he's related to also, is pulling away from me. So I was observing all of that. But the highlight of my week was this young man that I met or encountered on Facebook. I did a Facebook Live, and he was being disrespectful at the time, about 2 years ago. And I could have easily blocked him, unfriended him, whatever. The only time I unfriend and unblock is if you send me dick pics, then that's it. Bye, Felicia. Okay, that's it. But as far as in this case, and as long as you're not, that's it. And I've gotten quite some of those, right? So anyway, at that time, I don't let anybody talk to me any way they feel like it. But in his case, he was being very judgmental because of whatever. I don't remember specifically what I was talking about on the live. And remember, we were breaking down so much of these religious structures, religion, things that had to deal with dogma, fear, and programming and all that stuff. So whatever I was saying at the time, he didn't like it. And so he was kind of like attacking me. And so what I did is I stood in my truth. I still kept speaking. I still kept saying, and I showed it to him. I said, how do you know what I'm saying is you feel is not proper or whatever if you didn't even take the time to ask me, what am I speaking about? And so from long story short, he allowed himself to hear what I had to say. And he then apologized to me at the time, and he realized that he didn't really allow himself to listen to what I had to say, and that he was going to pay more close attention and so on and so forth. And so he did, and he started listening in on more of my lives and all that stuff, okay? And this is someone who grew up in religious stuff. He's in another country. That's another thing. He was in another country, not here in the States. And so would you believe that a few days ago, he messages me, and he's like, long time, because I did my Instagram live where I was singing, because I love to sing. It changes the energy. And he said, oh my God, long time. And he said, I just want to tell you, thank you so much for, I forgot what the word he said. Thank you so much for showing me the love. Your heart allowed everything to shine through for me to understand things better. And he said, would you please forgive me? And you are such a queen. Okay, that's what he said, and other words and stuff like that. And I realized what he was saying was coming from my twin. Okay, it's coming from him.
Goddess too.
Pardon me?
He called you a goddess as well.
Yes, he called me a goddess and everything, which is usually not in his language. You know what I'm saying? And so what it really showed me was how much transformation is really taking place with the divine masculine. And I said, if I had been differently towards him that time, he probably would have gone off, been in more ignorance, anger, frustration, and so on. So that's why Spirit is emphasizing again for many of you whoever is listening to empathize, okay? Empathize, not necessarily sympathize. We're not rescuing, we're not saving like before, but understand that they are pushing through something that it's like you're at war with yourself, like, well, that's not logical, this is not the way we do things, but my heart is telling me something else, you see? And just the singing, I even said to someone, I remember when she was telling me she was arguing with her twin or whatever. And I said, you know, how about if you sang to him and see how quickly he'll change his vibration? That instead of saying, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? You know, so, and it would shock the crap out of him because it's not expected, because usually we respond with more frustration and more anger and more irritation and so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? But it makes a difference with how we're helping, because the divine feminine is navigating through the shifts within herself as the divine masculine, and that propels your divine masculine to meet you energetically with that. It's working its way into that space where even if they're feeling gnarly or you're not really in a good space, you know, and so on and so forth, that you allow this inner peace to continue to flow, where you're no longer affected by what they say or what someone else says, while you're still maintaining your boundaries and not allowing anyone to just talk to you where they feel like it, even if it's your twin. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah.
So change is happening. It really is. I can see it.
Yeah, and I think it was just important to come on today too and explain even my story with this other divine masculine, Patrick, because it just helps us see exactly what's happening, you know, as well. And even though he might be a little bit different to some in that it's the reverse, like his divine feminine is the one that's blocking and running, but he's still, I know, you know, I can tell you 100%, he's still been going through these Tao moments and different things, no matter how conscious he is, because he's been a people pleaser and he's let people be codependent on him and all this sort of stuff. So he has showed me, you know, that even a conscious man, you know, is still going through those things that the male, you know, that male patriarchy sort of stuff that's been embedded in them. And we've even talked about that, you know. He said, you know, even though he's been like that his whole life, he said, I've always come up against men that have called me a weirdo or a this or a that.
Because they're not used to it. They're not used to this type of new way of being as a man. That's right. And to me, what makes them more special is when they allow themselves to be in a vulnerable place. See?
Yeah. So he showed me that even though he knew he was doing it, has been wearing masks his whole life at times to fit in, you know, at work, you know, because he worked construction and all this sort of stuff. So where there was these men that wouldn't get it. And so it's been really interesting sort of talking to him and meeting with him and seeing what he's been going through as well. But the more interesting thing too this week was to hear him say, because I was doing sort of some stuff with me and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll catch up with him next week. And Sharon's like, no, you need to go and see.
Yes, I did.
Saying he's got something for you and he needs to speak to you. And then he became really quite adamant and he's never done that before. So I went and apart from a beautiful gift he gave me, it's to say thank you. He told me these things and I was supposed to hear what he'd been going through over the last 2 weeks, because it's 2 weeks since I've seen him. And that he sort of said, that's it, you know, because the weeks I was speaking to him, I could see him going through these changes and trying with these people and trying to mend bridges but still being walked over and then going back to situations and not sticking up for himself. And the last thing I said to him 2 weeks ago, before I saw him yesterday, was it's time to put yourself first, to really step into you and honor yourself and put yourself first. So off he went, and he had so many tower moments and dark moments in that 2 weeks. But what I saw yesterday is that this was a man now that was aware of it all and had cut these people out of his life. And he'd even said to his mum, you know, that's it. Like, I'll say good morning or whatever and I see you, but that's it. So it was it was just really interesting to see all that yesterday and how far he'd come with those things, and see him to really be now starting to honor himself, because, you know, talking the talk is different to walking it, you know, like you can say.
And I feel that that's one of the things that's happening with a lot of divine masculine, is that they're in a greater awareness of what this path is. They know who their divine feminine is. They know who their connection is. And so it's one thing when you know, but then now when it's time to walk that path, it's a whole different ball game, as one would say. And, you know, the divine has stepped in, because even Kellie had her own was it downloads you had, or what was it that you had again? Was it downloads, or probably the same thing anyway? That transmission you were the video you did to do with the divine masculine walking in the mud, and some of them maybe walking in the mud and feeling like it's like they're stuck. The YouTube channel, right? And so the divine has stepped in for certain things to continue occurring as far as the tower moments. Many of them are not really feeling too much, like they don't feel good around the karmic situations or the karmic partners anymore. They're just not feeling it anymore. Okay? And some of them are going through dark night of the soul. Some of them are going through many dark nights of the soul. Some of them are going through losses. Okay? It's like really like going through a different type of resurrection, a different type of releasing and like literally dying, it's like you feel like you're dying away of all this old stuff, and releasing family again too, family members, releasing old jobs, old situations, the repeating thing over and over again. And a lot of this is happening even more rapidly because you know, I was told that from the time when the divine feminine started to rise into her power, you remember what it was like when you like awaken to this path and you're like, oh my God. And it's like you're going through all this stripping and changes and you know, rapidly. And at the same time, it was just on and on with all the retrogrades and eclipses and all of that. So with the divine masculine, it's happening even faster. And it's because of the preparation that's being made for the reunions, because there is a continuous union portal that is in existence. You know, like I had said before, this whole year of what you call it, 12, you had the 111 portal, 222, 333, 444, 555, and now we're heading into the solstice. And what was shown to me was that as we're getting even closer to the Lion's Gate, because I've been seeing a lot of 888s like crazy, and 999s and 555 and 1111, and that 888 portal, for some reason, there's so much indicative of physical reunions, because they're still happening in trickles, but they're showing me so much of this August time frame. And to me, it feels like it's like a pinnacle of what's ushering in greater for 2020 as it's coming in. And when you think of 888, what do you think of? Abundance, right? There's an abundance of many things that are occurring right here on a large scale.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly. And I read somewhere today that the energy of the moon, the full moon coming up, I'm not sure if it's on the 20th or something, but it's
I
already
believe it's on the 18th.
oh, the
It's on the
18th. So
18th.
apparently the energy's already opened for that moon, for what's
Yeah, I
happening.
believe that. And
Yeah,
also Venus is going into Taurus. So Venus is a representation again of the feminine energy and also
yeah,
what's coming to the physical earth. And since
yeah,
Venus is in Taurus, Uranus is in Taurus, and we also have Jupiter in Sagittarius and North Node in Cancer. All the
yeah,
elements of all of that is how much we're going deeper into our feelings with these connection, like really being online on this new grid, and how much of this free
yes,
energy that twins are creating all around the world, all
yeah,
around the world.
yeah,
And like Kelly says, she's in her template is where her twin is a big age gap. Same thing for me, same thing for me. And it's like everything that's breaking down to age differences, cultural backgrounds, religious backgrounds different. Everything is, can you remember to come back to love?
yeah,
Do you remember what this love means? Do
yeah.
you remember what you agreed to do? Because we volunteered to come up in this mother jumper with this shit. Yes,
Sure
we
did.
did. Yes, we did.
I don't
Hmm.
know how many times over the last 11 years I've gone, what the was I
What the fuck? Yeah, I've had many what the fuck
right.
moments.
But I just wanted to share before
Uh-huh.
we get cut off to those that were listening. That's the gift that he gave me, flying without wings. He did it in calligraphy.
So beautiful. Hmm.
So he, I don't know, it's back the front there, but because my book is Flying Without Wings, so he got this beautiful piece done for me with calligraphy to frame.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, not my twin, the other gentleman, the other divine masculine that
Hmm.
I've been
Hmm.
helping. So yeah,
Well, at least what I wanted to say too, as I hear you talking about your book, is I'm hearing spirits say about how much the emphasis of the feminine energy, it is not subjected to just a physical person. It is about feeling from the heart, following the intuition, being receptive. How much are you receiving? And as much as giving, because they taught that it's better to give than to receive. So many of the divine masculine and divine feminine too have a difficult time when it comes to receiving love and feeling they're not worthy of it, or feeling that they're not good enough, or some maybe in lack and limitation consciousness, not enough of this to go around, and so I gotta hide and hoard everything, and the fears, the fears
yeah,
that are behind this. And
yeah,
with love, it expands. And so when one is in that space of receiving and knowing that there's enough to go around, it's like an overflow. And so this love that we're bringing together, many of us, it's moving into a space of overflow. Okay. So
yeah,
whether or not someone is on the twin soul path, because everyone is moving into a sacred partnership path, sacred partnership, sacred, everything is sacred. No more greed and power and wanting to take over the other and trying to control the other. True
no,
sovereignty and freedom, free
yeah,
to love, free to be, and doing this together on an individual scale and a collective scale. And so because again, this has not been shown on earth ever to last in this form, we're trekking forward it, and we're not doing it alone. And
yeah,
so if you feel triggered by anything that shows up in your reality, please move towards that healing. And even if you're feeling irritated, annoyed, it's a part of the process. It's a part of the process,
okay,
because we're doing it even with you might be feeling it with your twin at the same time, because whatever they're experiencing, you're still may feel some of it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
also
Mm-hmm.
just a message to please, to not try and focus or think that you're in separation, because I see that out there all over YouTube with these twin flame people, and that, like, those in separation, like this is a video for those in separation. And what happens is, when you really understand energy and the energy in everything, but also the energy obviously between the two of you. Oh, it's going to cut off.
Yeah. Go ahead, finish your statement.
There's no separation. So if you keep putting that energy out there, so yes, maybe physical separation, but you're one. So
we're one. We are one. Yes. We are one. There is no, it's an illusion. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't want to put yourself in that